Good evening, everybody. Welcome to PatFacts. Patrick here, pat on your back. Personal fitness. Hope everyone's having a great week. Tonight, we're going to go back in time a little bit. We're going to talk about some lessons learned, maybe not even right away, but lessons learned eventually from the blackout from 2003. So 20 years ago. Hard to believe it's been that long. Feels like it was just a year or two ago. Honestly, for those that don't know, back in 2003, in August of 2003, there was a blackout, which to us, we thought was in Toronto, then thought was Ontario, turned out to be the Eastern Seaboard, kind of like Eastern Canada and US, kind of Ontario into the Eastern States. I don't believe Atlantic Canada was bothered. But there's some sort of power failure, a disruption in the transformers or something going on, something glitched or malfunctioned, and the lights went out. I was still living in Nova Scotia at the time, but was up here for a fitness conference. I was at my first day. It was a Thursday. I was doing a pre-conference session. So usually there's a full day certification or specialty workshops that they offer. I believe I was doing a core board session with David Snively. We're just finishing up, getting ready to do our last little bit of work and wrap up and get ready for Q&A to finish the day off. And boom, everything just went completely black, just like behind me. I couldn't see anything for a couple of seconds. We were in the kind of downstairs section of the building. It was the Metro Toronto Convention Center, so two different wings. We were sort of in the lower level convention center, no windows or anything, so pitch black. And then the backup sort of generators came on, emergency lighting came on, not so much full lighting, but I guess emergency lighting came on. We thought, oh, guess the building must have a little power glitch or something. Power must be out somewhere. We finished up the session. As we're kind of finishing, wrapping up, announcement comes on and goes, there's a problem in the convention center. We're working on it to fix it. Sorry for the inconvenience. A few more minutes go by. Another announcement. Actually, the whole block that we're on is having a power failure. As we know more, we'll let you know, but it's outside of our control. It's the city block. Then it came into the downtown core. Then it turned into Toronto. Then it turned into Ontario. And then as we're kind of leaving, we're hearing more that it's actually the whole Eastern Seaboard that's without power. This was not quite a year after the attacks of September 11th happened. It was August of the following year. So that was still fresh in people's minds. So people were thinking, is this some sort of attack? Is it some kind of takeover? What's going on? People were a little worried. But it turned out to not be that. Just, again, a glitch, a technical error, mechanical malfunction, something like that. And I didn't realize it at the time, but as it popped up this year, because it was the 20th anniversary, and I wanted to do this back in August when the actual anniversary happened, but that was one of the weeks we couldn't stream live. But it started popping up. Facebook memories, the conference posted about it. It was they released kind of I think it's a bi-monthly magazine, and that was sort of their cover story, the following issue after the conference. And other fit pros that I was there with were posting about memories from it and different experiences. And this got me thinking and reflecting back on that moment. And I thought I'd share a couple of lessons that I took away from it, probably not knowing at the time that I was taking those lessons away, maybe not even realizing it officially until recently when this 20th anniversary happened. But a few things that and I feel some others took away from the blackout, because we try to learn from all of our experiences, good and bad, so that, again, hopefully we can maybe prepare if something like that happens again, or if possible, maybe avoid having something happen again. Again, this, on our end, not much we could do. Hopefully the electrical companies and the people involved and the governments, so far so good. We haven't had another one happen, so hopefully it seems like they've got to the bottom of that and figured it out. So the first one I want to talk about, and we've talked about this before. If you go back to some of the very early episodes of PatFacts over 3 years ago now, we talk about being flexible. In Afghanistan, we called it max flex, maximum flexibility. being able to be flexible. Everyone that weekend was very flexible because Thursday we lost the power, came back on late that night, which we'll chat about more later. But over the weekend we had rolling brownouts, and no one was 100% sure what was going on. We had to sort of conserve energy while they fixed the problem. So we had to scale things back as much as we could. So in our sessions, which usually have, hey, Natty, welcome in. Our sessions, which normally have full lighting in a conference room, big couple of speakers going, playing music. The instructor's usually on a mic. Sometimes there's PowerPoint and things going on, maybe videos. Everything went bare bones basic. We did a spin. I remember a spinning class, dim lights, minimum lighting, music low, one speaker, so that the instructor didn't have to use a mic to try to not to draw too much power. So we kind of went back a little bit to the way things maybe used to be, or just to the basics. And sometimes I feel like it's good to go through those moments where we go back to basics. Afghanistan was like that for me, we've talked about here, and some other experiences that I've had that I realize are kind of those back to basic moments. Instructors who, again, maybe were doing more of a lecture style that had PowerPoints didn't have that luxury. They had to read their script or go off their script or just discuss, or in some cases change their formats altogether, maybe to more interactive Q&A sessions, maybe more active sessions as opposed to just a lecture style. Usually at a conference you get a workshop, which is both a workout, which is just physical, or a lecture, which is just kind of knowledge sharing. So some people had to change their format. Again, they had to be flexible because we couldn't control what was going on outside of the building that was affecting us. Some instructors bought candles to have some lights. Again, minimum lighting outside. There weren't many windows as a conference center, so we try to keep things as bare minimum as we could. Same thing in the trade show. Usually the trade show has all these booths. They all have music blare, and there's big lights everywhere to be able to see in the trade show and look at the equipment, and the treadmills are all plugged in that you can try out the new models and all these different things. Again, bare bones minimum. We had to, I think we waited maybe until the Saturday or later that Friday before even opening the trade show, if I remember correctly. And then it was still, again, kind of a minimalistic approach to that. And again, sometimes it's good to do that. We talk about sometimes unplugging from our devices, getting away from things, scaling back a little bit just to reset and do that. So that's the first sort of takeaway, is that it's good sometimes to reset, to scale back, to go back to basics a little bit. That was sort of the first lesson learned from the blackout of 2003. And those joining us, if you're here live or again on the recording, let us know where you were during the blackout of 2003, what you're up to, and if it impacted you in any way. Again, I wasn't here per se. I was still living in Nova Scotia, but was here for visiting for a fitness conference. I think it was the year after that I actually moved up here. It was November 2004. So I was still about a year away from actually living in Ontario, but was here for a fitness conference that I used to attend pretty annually for quite a few years. So the first lesson in back to basics, going back to the way things are, making do with what you have. Again, the Kandahar lesson as well, just taking what's there, taking what's available, and making the most of it, using it, not necessarily needing all the bells and whistles and everything because they're just not there to use. So it reminds you that while some of those things are nice to have, they might not necessarily be necessary for what it is you're doing. Maybe they just add to it. Maybe they kind of enhance what you're doing, but maybe they're not be all and end all of what you're doing. And there may be certain things you're doing or working on that maybe if you get rid of those little bells and whistles and fancy, and maybe again went back to basics, maybe then you'd see that progress increase, or maybe you'd see where you're really going with it. Maybe that would clear your vision of your direction, and you know exactly what it is you're working towards. So don't be afraid sometimes to pull the curtain back and really, again, go back to those basics of what it is you're doing. Or again, maybe what you've done before. Maybe sometimes we need to go back to the way things were. We talk here about our When Life Works list. Maybe things were a little more basic and a little straightforward. Maybe you have better success then. Or maybe we just need to go back a little bit and build ourselves back up to where that those kind of fancier things or those add-ons can maybe come in at the right moment. Maybe we need to keep it basic first, fine-tune things, make sure we have things the way we want them, and then add the extras after. If you've ever done a PowerPoint or a slide presentation, typically the way I was taught was do the content first and then add the fancy stuff. Add the slide animation, the slide words, the little sounds, your transitions, do all that at the end. But most of us want to do that stuff first because it's a little more fun and it makes it look fancy. But again, maybe the basic is all we need. The other stuff enhances. Yeah, 90 says the community really came together for that. Definitely. It was one of those times when it took an extreme circumstance, unfortunately, to bring a lot of people together. But luckily, it wasn't too drastic, too dangerous. And yeah, it really did bring everyone together, which is really nice to see. So back to basics, or max flexibility was our first lesson. Our second lesson that I get from the blackout of 2003 is opportunity, making the most of a rough situation. And if you're in that area at that time, the people that made the most of that situation, to me, other than the community come together, which is super important, but the people that made the most of that situation were the vendors, because they were the only people that could cook. The street vendors, the hot dog vendors, the food trucks, they had lineups around the block. The ones around our hotel all sold out, and they shut down because they ran out of supplies, because all the restaurants were closed, the hotel kitchens were closed, people in their houses couldn't cook anything, there was no power. So everyone went to the food trucks. They made the most of that opportunity. They were able to serve the community and help people that were in need, and they were able to gain from it as well, which was nice for them to be able to do that. So make the most of your opportunities. Look for the bright side when something's a little bit dark. Look for the opportunity that might be there for you. Maybe what you're doing right now maybe is a solution to a problem that other people have. Maybe you're the hot dog vendor to their blackout. Try to look for ways to be a solution and chip in. And again, don't necessarily wait for something maybe drastic to happen, but take initiative. Be proactive. Try to jump in now and help out where you can. Take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you. This pretty much was given to the street vendors on a platter. No one can cook. No one has power. Good luck. People were leaving their cars on the streets because there were traffic jams, because the traffic lights didn't work. Street cars didn't run, so they were in the middle of the road. Everything was stopped. But those street vendors, they kept plugging away again until most of them, at least around us anyway, ran out of food. So be mindful of those opportunities. Not everything is a dark, drastic, woe is me, this is the end, this is horrible kind of moment. Look for the positives. Look for the opportunities. As we've opened up tonight, look for ways to learn from what's going on. What can you take from these situations? What are the opportunities maybe for next time if something comes up that we can do, or something similar happens? Or again, what are the opportunities to maybe prevent what's been going on, or the issue that's been kind of overlying? And if we have to look for those though, and do some digging and work around for them, it's not just going to be there, although it kind of was for the street vendors. It worked out that way. But we have to look for some of those opportunities sometimes, or again, be open-minded and proactive, and take charge and show initiative and make the most of those difficult times. And the next lesson I learned from the blackout of 2003, was just, again, scaling back. We talked about kind of max flex and resetting, going back to basics. But again, just simplifying things, making the most of what's around. We were in a hotel because there was, I think, 4 of us in the room from Nova Scotia. Emergency lights on. We had the curtains open for daylight, knowing that once it got dark, it was bedtime because there was no way to see and to do anything in the rooms. I think the hallways had the emergency lighting, but there wasn't much in the room, and it happened so long that some of the batteries wore out on some of those emergency lights. So we had the curtains open, but we knew once night hit, it was bedtime because there was nothing to do. So we actually turned all the lights on and woke up in the middle of the night when the power came back on, because we had all of our lights turned on when we went to bed to let us know the power came back on. So I think it was 2 or 3 in the morning when all the lights were on, and we all kind of woke up to this bright room and turned everything back off and went back to sleep. But we made the most of our time. We again, we had the hotel room. We're trying to hang out, we kill time until sessions the next morning. If we even had them, we weren't even sure what was going to happen with the conference and things. But we made the most of it. My buddy's like, we'll play sock tag. And we're like, what is sock tag? So he took out a pair of socks, clean, don't worry. We bundled them up, made them into a ball, and we played like ball tag, but with socks in the hotel room for a little while. Again, it was just fun. It was simple. We played. And as we get to be grown-ups, we don't really do that enough. These conferences were a great break from that, because you would explore and move around and exercise and work out. Some sessions did try to incorporate play, but some were more there just to learn and work out, and here's what you do when you teach. So it was a great time just to kind of, again, let loose a little bit and not wonder what was going on or when things are going to be fixed or when am I going to, how can I have power to do this and that and whatever. Let's just play. So we played a few games. I think we played some cards, and we found cards somewhere. Someone had a deck of cards in their suitcase. And I don't really like cards, so don't tell anyone I played. But we played cards. We played sock tag. We made the most of it. We had fun. It got dark. We went to sleep. We turned all the lights on and went to bed until they powered up through the night. But again, we made the most of it. We took advantage of the daylight. We thought, oh, we'll get a great night's sleep and nothing else because it'll be dark. We went to bed, got that good night rest. We made the most of the opportunity. We went outside. We took in that street meat, those street vendors. We walked around a little bit, took in the sights of it being just a really different atmosphere and different environment, because it was downtown Toronto with the power out. No street lights, traffic couldn't work, roads were full of cars. Again, street cars in the middle of the road. Just traffic everywhere. Everyone had to come back and get their cars as power turned back on and the street lights and signals and things could work. So we went outside and just took in that experience and tried to appreciate being there in that moment. Because who knows when we'll ever, again, hopefully not be somewhere when all the power goes out in a major city. So we wanted to take that in and experience it as best we could. And knowing we could safely run around across the street and not have to worry about it or worry for traffic and things like that, we can kind of take things in. So make the most of what you have, make the most of your opportunities. Again, looking at that bright side, like we talked about earlier, but make the most of what you have. Take advantage of the opportunity. Maybe it's good that your cell phone provider network went down for a day and a half. As inconvenient as it is, maybe it's nice to get away from it and think of some other things. We talked here again when we started this back in 2020 that let's look for the positive aspects of being kind of restricted and locked down and having to stay home and having nothing to really go and do when the pandemic first started. Let's look for the positives. We can't go to work every day. What can we do from home? What's this goal, this task, this hobby, this thing that we've never done because we haven't had the time? Here's your time. Now's the time to do it. We make the most of that opportunity. Same thing with anything else. We had no power, so we made the most of the opportunity. We made the most of daylight, made the most of getting a good night's sleep once the lights or the sun went down and it got dark. So make the most of your opportunities. Look again for the positive. It's in there somewhere. Sometimes you just have to look for it and find it and peek for it, and it'll show up. And then when you find that positive, make the most of that opportunity. Hey, Bonnie, welcome in. Good to see you. For those just tuning in, we're chatting about the blackout of 2003 and some lessons learned that I learned. And again, this isn't something I don't feel I reflected on after the fact, but kind of recently and trying to be a little more reflective in things I've done and experiences I've had. And again, seeing the 20th anniversary post of this back in August when it did happen. And again, unfortunately, we weren't able to go live that week. But I still want to chat about it in those lessons. So thinking about, we talked about going back to basics, Maybe you don't need all the fancy bells and whistles and apps and tools to get to where you want to be. Maybe we need to scale things back and go bare bones a little bit and go back to basics. We talked about taking advantage of opportunities that are presented for you, much like the street vendors in Toronto at the night of the I'm sure in other places too, but I was in Toronto for a fitness conference. Again, though, probably the most profitable evening they had as a whole, because the whole city had no power. So everyone went there to get food from them and making the most of a situation. Like I said, we didn't have anything to do. There was nowhere to go. We stayed in the hotel room. I think we played some cards, played some sock tag, just kind of joked around, talked to each other, chatted. We kind of went, I think couples were university. They'd gone to the same university. A couple had worked together for a while. We all kind of work in the same place now. So it was just getting to know each other a bit better too, and have some fun and discuss. And again, we went outside and walked around a bit and kind of took in this major city that was shut down because of this big blackout that happened through the eastern seaboard. So hopefully you can, again, look at your experiences and what things have you taken from them? Or if you haven't taken anything from them yet, maybe look back on some of them. And you'll probably see different connections to things you're doing now based on what you went through back then. Again, Afghanistan is usually a common example for me as far as a reset and not sweating the small stuff and appreciating what you have. And again, all these lessons were probably introduced to me during this blackout. I appreciated my company, the street vendors that provided the food, the ability to actually go back to the conference. I was in a different province. I had spent all this money to register, to travel to Toronto, to be there, to take in this conference. And I wasn't sure what was going to happen. Are they going to have a conference that will be shut down? Did I just kind of lose all this investment? But luckily, again, they made the most of it. They went back to basics. They made sure the conference could go on safely and effectively, and we were able to get through it. But take some time as you're reflecting on, again, our new month and trying to kind of gear up for 2023, as we talked about last week, and start to plan for 24. Again, look back at some of your past experiences, both this year and just in the past in general, and really think maybe how it shaped you going forward or what you gained from that. Again, I've mentioned before when Blake's been on and even talking with you guys here solo, there's been times where as I'm talking to you and kind of broadcasting a PatFacts, or as I'm talking, I'll think of an example of something that happened years ago, back in high school, when I was growing up, whatever, and then kind of realize that happened to me to put me where I am now, to be able to hopefully help you guys be more operationally fit and have this kind of supplement to your physical fitness program or your goal program, whatever the goal is you're working towards this year. But I was never super reflective on things like that. I was too much in the moment, trying to figure out kind of where to go next. But I'm trying to be a little more reflective of where I've been and get a little better at forecasting further ahead to where I want to go as I evolve as a trainer and coach and an expert in the fitness field. So I'm trying to take time to reflect on some of these moments when I see them, and I'll see pictures of people I've met at some of these fitness conferences. There's usually keynote speakers that they have come in, and I've been able to have my picture taken with a couple of Olympians, a couple of fitness people that I've watched on TV growing up. They had workouts on TSN and different channels, and to be able to go and take sessions from them was a cool deal for me. So I've had some really neat experiences and some really neat connections in some of these events. So I try to take some time once in a while to think back on that, and because we get so caught up in what's going on and what's the next thing coming at us. It's good sometimes just to sit and reflect and see the experiences we've had and appreciate them, and sometimes understand that, oh, even though that one wasn't great, that's why I am the way I am now, or that helped shape me to do what I do now, because maybe I didn't want that to happen to me or other people as they went through the journey I went through. So take some time tonight, or when you work on your personal development, chunk in some time this week to look back a little bit and appreciate those experiences, and just really try to reflect, not just enjoy them, but also to look back and see maybe what you learn from them. Oh, out of the darkness. What you learn from them and what you gain from them that helped make you who you are today. So that's it for tonight, gang. Thanks for being here. again, as we wrap up tonight's, he says hello. Again, thinking of maybe the blackout, if you were here for that, or if you heard about it, or what it is again, some events you've gone through, and maybe what you've taken from those and how you've developed and grown and learned from them to be able to make yourself the way you are today and to put in to those goals and those projects the way you do. And maybe looking back on some of these events and what you learned, or maybe just realizing what you learned or went through, maybe that will give you that extra little bit of an idea or some energy or a realization that maybe helps you get over some sticky points or some roadblocks that you're dealing with on your way to your goal accomplishment throughout the year. So have a great night, everyone. Stay safe. Hope your lights stay on. But remember, always make yourself the priority you deserve to be by striving to be operationally fit.
And always make your kids happy if you have any.
Well, mostly.
Well, make your kids happy.
Sometimes, maybe.
Always,
sometimes.
Always.
Have a great night, everybody. Thanks, Bonnie. Thanks, Natty, for being here. We'll see everyone back next week, 6 p.m. Again, if you're here with us on recording, please say hello. We love to chat back. Oh, just before we go, sorry, guys. A couple things. Terry Fox run's coming up on the 17th. That's the address there. Or you can DM me if you'd like to support us to join the team. Unfortunately, I won't be in Barrie this year to take part in the event. I'm kind of double booked and will be away, so I'm going to do it in another location. But the team is there, so you can support us. You can join the team and run in your location, run virtually, whatever you prefer. So again, run.terryfox.ca/team/POYBFit. Or if you search for Patrick Savory or P Savory, you'll bring up my personal page if you'd like to support cancer research through the Terry Fox Foundation. They do great stuff. I'm really going to miss not being in Barrie this year for the run. First one I missed in a long time, but we're going to do the run just from an alternate location. And I just want to take a moment to say thanks to For the Love of Golf for my new hat. I love it. You can see the cool design there. Oh, maybe not in my background, but it's like a Cupid's arrow. That's a golf club through the heart. For the Love of Golf. That's their Instagram handle or their website if you want to golf or just enjoy good puns like me. My pal Donnie has this company started as a golfer himself, and again, he's a big lover of puns. So loving the new hat. Fits great, feels great. Had to wear some red to match. I had to get a red hat as red's my thing. So just wanted to mention that really quickly. And again, there's the I thought you left.
No.
Mention the Terry Fox team one more time if you'd like to support us or join the team and fundraise yourself. Again, we'll be doing the run, not in Barrie this year, but at a different location. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
A different location, but we are going to still take part. So you can do it from wherever you are. Feel free to join us. We'd love to have you. Thanks, everyone. Remember, always make yourself the priority you deserve to be by striving to be operationally fit. Have a great night and take care.
Make your kids happy.
Sometimes.